Welcome to our Naidoc Week Assembly.
We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land which we meet on today. I would like to extend my respects to any Aboriginal people here with us today, past, present and future.
This year's Naidoc theme is Always Was, Always Will Be. Always Was, Always Will Be recognises that First Nations people have occupied and cared for this continent for over 65,000 years. We are spiritually and culturally connected to this country. This country was crisscrossed by generations of brilliant nations. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were Australia's first explorers, first navigators, first engineers, first farmers, first botanists, first scientists, first diplomats, first astronomers, and first artists. Australia has the world's oldest oral stories. The first peoples engraved the world's first maps, made the earliest paintings of ceremony, and invented unique technologies. We built and engineered structures on Earth, predating well-known sites such as the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge. Our adaptation and intimate knowledge of country enabled us to endure climate change, catastrophic droughts, and rising sea levels. Always Was, Always Will Be acknowledges that hundreds of nations and our cultures cover this continent. All were managing the land, the biggest estate on Earth, to sustainably provide for their future. Through ingenious land management systems like fire stick farming, we transformed the harshest habitable continent into a land of bounty. Naidoc Week 2020 acknowledges and celebrates that our nation's story didn't begin with the documented European contact, whether in 1770 or 1606, with the arrival of the Dutch on the western coast on the Cape York Peninsula. The very first footprints on this continent were those belonging to the First Nations people. Our coastal nations watched and interacted with at least 36 contacts made by Europeans prior to 1770. Many of them resulting in the charting of the northern, western and southern coastlines of our lands and our waters. For us, this nation's story began at the dawn of time. Naidoc 2020 invites all Australians to embrace the true history of this country, a history which dates back thousands of generations. It's about seeing, hearing and learning the First Nations' 65,000 plus year history of this country, which is Australian history. We want all Australians to celebrate that we have the oldest continuing cultures on this planet and to recognise that our sovereignty was never ceded.